Buying players is easy, but getting those players to sell for the price you want them to sell for is a completely different story, and it is slightly harder. Sometimes you buy players thinking that there's room for you to make profit. You list them at that price and they don't sell. You bring that player's price down, relist them, and they still do not sell. Eventually, after doing this several times, they finally sell, but now you've sold that player for the exact same price that you bought them for. And because of the 5% EA tax, it actually means that you made a loss on that player. This happens more often than not, and after reading a lot of comments, I know a lot of you guys are having this issue. So in this video, I'm going to be going through a few things that I do to increase the chances of my players selling, whilst also maximizing my profit on those types of deals. Before I do get into the video though, if you do enjoy the content here, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you'll always be notified when a new upload is pushed. I also recommend going into the description down below, and there you'll find a link to Discord. If you like being up to date with the latest news, the latest trades, the latest investments in Ultimate Team, over Discord, you're able to get it a lot quicker than if I was to put it into a video. A link to that can be found in the description down below. But getting back into the video, in a perfect world, you should be able to buy a player below their market value, list them for their lowest buy now, and this should lead to that player selling relatively quickly. But we are not within a perfect world. There are so many different variables at play which have an effect on whether or not a player will sell when the first time you list them. This could be the quality of the player, how many there are on the market, the amount of people looking to buy this player, and the list for this will just carry on going on. So with this, we need to highlight some things that you should be thinking about when listing a player, and also a few extra things that you can do to increase that player selling within the first hour. The first thing to talk about, and the most obvious thing, is the price in which you list that player for, and depending on the quality should depend on what you're actually going to list. Each player has a different price and a different price range, but what you need to do is look on the market to see the lowest buy now for that specific player, then take into consideration what type of quality that card is and then list accordingly. What I mean by this is normally gold and special cards, they don't actually need to be the lowest buy now. If you want to sell them very quickly, then yes, do undercut the market. But if you're not actually needing these coins right now and you don't need this to sell very quickly, you can actually list this player a couple hundred coins or a couple thousand coins above the lowest buy now. This does depend how many there are on the market. If you have an informed player worth 15,000 coins as its lowest buy now, but for the lowest buy now there's about 3 or 4 pages, it's probably not you worth trying to sell at 16,000 coins, because you'll need all of those pages to sell before. But if you go and look on the market and there's only 4 or 5 there for 15,000 coins, you can actually list yours at 16,000 coins, even though you do lower the chances of this player selling within the first hour. At some point it will sell for that price range because it isn't priced ridiculously high. It's still a pretty decent deal if you're looking to go and get that player. This is only something that I would do if I managed to make some trades with rare golds or even some special cards. But if I was trading with silvers or even bronze players, I would never do this. In fact, I always undercut the lowest on the market by a couple hundred coins, making sure that mine will always be the cards that people go for. Bronze and silver cards aren't in demand as much as gold and special cards. A lot of people want to buy gold and special cards for their teams or even include them as part of SBCs. Most people buy bronze and silver cards if they're trying to finish SBCs, so they're actually trying to get them for cheap so that they can maximize profit when handing in that SBC to get the reward. So when I'm trading with bronze and silver players, I'll check the players' prices. Look for the lowest buy now for that specific player. Take a couple hundred coins away, and this is the price in which I'm listing that player for on the market. Even if your player is the cheapest, not every single time it will sell within the first hour. But as long as it is the cheapest on the market, I will just keep on relisting. Eventually it will sell. If another one pops up and it has greatly undercutted my card that's listed, I will then lower the price of my bronze or silver player and then relist it again. It shouldn't be taking weeks or even days for you to sell some of these bronze or silver players, but on average it does take a couple hours. Sometimes you will need to list it overnight for you to get a sell. This actually brings us on to our next point, and this is listing your players for 12 hours overnight. If you've been playing FIFA 21 for a long time, towards the end of the day, things start to get a bit boring, starts to become a bit lackluster, and you just can't be bothered to really do anything. I've been there as well. But make sure you take the time to list the players overnight for 6 or 12 hours. Most players don't do this, and this does lead to overnight time when other countries or even people that are awake that still enjoy playing FIFA, when they want to buy players, there's only a limited amount of players they have a selection from, because your live trades will go down from 1 million at around 6 p.m. all the way down to around 400,000 at midnight and through to early morning. Around about 6 a.m. UK time, this is when things start to pick up again, and it starts to increase, going all the way to midday where you start to get around 700,000 live trades. Now these are the amount of trades that you have on Xbox. It will be slightly different on PlayStation and PC, but you will still see the same pattern. Once you get to a certain time, it will start to go down in the amount of live trades on the market and then gradually start to increase again once you get to an early time in the morning. This does open a door for you to make more profit and also get those sales for some of the players that you have, because you can list for 12 hours overnight and it does increase the chances of you being able to get the sell. But in addition to this, you can also maximize your profit by increasing the price yet again. As there are less live trades in the market, you can slightly increase the price of the players that you have and they will sell. This is just because those that are buying the cards don't have as many options as what they would have at a prime time when trying to buy some of these players. And because not everyone lists their cards for 12 hours, it does mean that they don't even have a chance of selling these players. Yours could be the lowest on the market while still being at a much higher price compared to what the lowest market would have been within the past 24 hours. So definitely make sure that you are listing your cards overnight. Moving on to the next point, don't list multiple players all at the same time at the exact same price. Now this is more focused on two main methods that we've shown here on this channel before. This is bulk bidding and the position change method. In both of these methods, you're able to get multiple of the exact same type of player and list them on the market. And I've seen quite a few people find the lowest buy now for these types of players and list them all at that exact same price. But it doesn't take too many of these types of players to be listed at the exact same price for it to then be undercut or even being perceived by other players as that being the lowest buy now. So therefore, another trader will come along and they'll see that lowest buy now and try undercut that one. Eventually, it just becomes a vicious cycle where gradually that player's price will go down. For the position change method, what I always do is list one player as the player that I'm actually aiming to sell within the next couple of hours. If I have multiple cards for that type of player, I will list them at a slightly higher price, but them still being the second cheapest, the third cheapest, the fourth cheapest, and the fifth cheapest, and this will just carry on going on. I'm not aiming for these players to sell. I still want that first one that I listed to sell within the first couple hours, but if someone does buy my first player, the next cheapest on the market is still me, but it's at a higher price. Once it comes round to these players expiring on the market, then I can bring the players' prices down gradually one by one. So what was the second cheapest is now the cheapest on the market. What was the third cheapest is now the second cheapest. Eventually they will all sell. This also gives the idea that the player that is listed on the market has a higher perceived value, when in actual fact I'm just listing them all at different prices rather than it all being at the exact same price. With bulk bidding, you have a bit more freedom. If you have around about 30-40 different cards of one type of player, it's still not a good idea for you to list them all at the exact same price. Let's just say you managed to buy a player for around 650 coins and the lowest buy now was 850 coins. What I would do in this situation is list players at different prices. So I would list around about 10 at 850 coins being the cheapest on the market. I would then list another 10 being around 900 coins, another 10 after that at 950, and another 10 at 1000. In the first hour, all the ones that you listed at 850 coins will sell. Some of the ones that you managed to list at 900 coins will also sell. You'll probably sell around about 4 or 5. The ones at 950, you're looking at just a couple, and then you'll be lucky to sell any at 1000. But because you've done this, you're not flooding the market with everything being listed at the exact same time. If you took all 40 cards, listed them for 850 coins, if someone did the exact same method as you, they'll see that the lowest buy now is 850. Now actually undercut you by listing them at 800, dropping the value of that player. The way that you've done it, you haven't flooded the market whilst also maximizing profit. Because even though you did sell everything at 850 coins, you did also manage to sell some at 900, 950, and potentially even 1000 coins. This is where you can take advantage of something called dollar cost averaging. This is something that is used in real life all the time when going into stocks or even crypto. You can do the exact same thing in Ultimate Team. Because you have listed them all at different prices, some being minimum buy now, but some going up to 1000 coins, you've actually increased the average profit that you're making on each deal. It may seem like only a few extra coins here or there, but this will add up eventually to be hundreds, maybe even thousands of coins depending how much you do this with the bulk bidding method. But anyway guys, these are just a few of the things that I do whenever I'm listing my players. It does go without saying, but I have had some trades where I haven't managed to sell them. But in most times I do manage to maximize my profit in other areas where I am making successful trades. The thing that I do with bulk bidding, where I list them all at different prices and dollar cost average my profit across all of them, does increase the amount of coins that I make per deal. And I've never actually seen anyone else talk about this. It's always been the case about just bulk bidding on players and making a couple hundred coins. Whereas I'm trying to make a couple hundred coins at minimum, but also push to something a bit extra, which brings an average return at a much higher rate. If you use some of the things that we talked about in this video, you should be able to sell some of your trades a lot quicker whilst also making a lot more coins out of them. So hopefully you guys will be able to have a lot more success. But anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see ya.